yeah. Okay, so you're taking the topic for your session is examining the grassroots of education for its reformation. Yes. And so when I got this
Yes.
topic, I began to think, what has the grassroots got to do with education? Hence my first question. How exactly does the grassroots affect today's education system? So here's what we are going to do. This question is actually in two parts, the how and the
Mm-hmm.
why. How does the grassroots affect today's education system? That's the how. And then the why. Why is there a need to examine the grassroots?
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to, swap your questions and start with the why before moving to the how.
Why?
So for
Great.
every principle or everything in this world, there is always something guiding it. There's always a root of it. For every problem, there is a root to it. For every idea, there is a root. For every belief system, there is a root one way or the other. So for everything that we have to look at in this world, there is a principle guiding it, or there is an idea, a geology guiding it, or there is a foundation that holds it together. So that's why we have to look, if we want to look at the problems, or want to look at recovering the education system or revitalizing the education system, then we have to look at the root of the education system. Why should we go into a recovery phase or try to revitalize it in the first place?
Okay.
We should need to look at those things. So the root of the education system is what we need to look at. There is a need. Everything is rooted in something. As a human being, as a creature, we have a creator. So for everything that is wrong with us, literally we run to our creator and say, oh, why am I going through this? What's happening? Or something in the future happens and you're like, why did this happen? You go back to the past to think of what happened. So really it's the same for education. If we need to know, if we need to move forward, then we really might have to go back, to base, back to the foundation, back to the roots, to know why, we are in this state of, or why the structure is in the way it is right now. So we might have to go back to the root. So the second question, which is, how does it affect, how does the graduate affect today's education system? Like I already said, there are concepts or ideologies or beliefs that, that a certain thing is rooted in, right? So the education system also has a grassroots, and we if we are able to go back, if we're able to see those things that are in that root, then we might just be able to restructure it, or replant it. Or do you understand? It's
Mm-hmm.
just like a soil. You have a soil in a pot, and you put your beans inside. You're expecting that the beans is going to sprout very soon, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not seeing anything. You're not seeing any results. That means something is not right. You have to go back there and say, oh, is it I used the wrong soil? I didn't put enough water, or the seed I used wasn't correct. So there are some things that affect. There are some things that in our grassroots that we need to check, that affect our education system today. So some things like, okay, let's say poverty. Some people might not look at poverty as something that will affect education. They'll be like, how can poverty affect education? But it does. Those are that is one thing that we need to look at as well, how poverty affects education. Because from statistics and articles and the rest, Africa is in a state of, I'm trying to be as positive as possible, but we have to face reality. Africa is, if not the high state of poverty right now, or the highest state of poverty right now. How can a family be poor and be thinking of how to train their child in a school? It's really not possible. Or how can a family have a child who brings their daily bread? A child who has to go to sell in the morning. Now think of sending their child to school, or think of sending their child to any form of training. to them, that's education for the child. The child knows how to sell, the child knows how to count money. So that's enough. There's really no need to send the child to school. But education is a right for every child, is a right for every person. So, but to some people, because of poverty, they're like, it's not possible. So that's a problem that we need to fix. Or child abuse, or human trafficking, and all those other things. So, um, we really need to go back to base. We really need to go back to the roots to check those things that are strangling our tree from growing.
Okay. So we are trying to prevent history from repeating itself, the negative side of history from repeating itself, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you were mentioning some of the things that are impeding education, poverty, human trafficking, child abuse, all of those things. So it brings me to my next question. How exactly do we deal with these issues? These issues that are compromising the educational system, how do we deal with it from the grassroots? How exactly do we curb these issues from taking its hold on the educational system?
All right. Okay, thank you. So, one of the things that made me, some people ask me why student teachers, why beginning teachers, why is that your target audience for the Fresh Look Africa? One of the major reasons is because those people are fresh. They are like seeds,
Mm,
that are yet to be sown. So they've not gotten into the system yet. So we want to catch them young,
young.
in quote, before going into the system, right? So we want to deal with the problem of having the mindset that, oh, teachers are meant to be this way, or teachers are just meant to be in the classroom and teach, and it's okay, that's where it ends. We want to curb that from when they are still in the university, and when they are just probably in their first year of teaching. So we are taking them while they are still seeds, so that when they grow, they are growing in the right environment, with the right state of mind. So
Mhm.
for Fresh Look Africa, that was the main reason why we chose student teachers and beginning teachers as our target audience to deal with. There are many organizations that deal with teachers already in the system. They deal with school leaders and the rest, but that's it for us. So that is one way we've chosen to deal with the issue of education from the grassroots, from the roots.
Okay.
From taking these ones while they are still yet to go into the system, to train them in a way that they can become global change makers. They're not just making change
Right.
they're not just local champions, but they can go forth. Another thing is collaborating with people. Some people feel like, oh, when there's like a program like this, when people will say, oh, it's just for teachers, teachers alone, they are the ones that are meant to go for these programs. But I say no. When we're talking about the education sector, it involves everybody.
Everybody.
It
True.
involves every single person. Some people complain, hoodlums. There are some of these hoodlums, if you have put them in a school, in a proper training, they would not turn out to be hoodlums.
Right.
If you as an entrepreneur decided to take some people on the streets to train, then you may have not seen hoodlums in your area, because these people are refined in their thinking now. So
Right.
it's a collaborative work, it's everybody's work. So, like one of my mentors would say, is the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's our own party. We are the ones to do the work. We are the ones to even collaborate with international communities. Let's see how we can work with Ghana. Let's see how we can
Okay.
work with Cote d'Ivoire. Let's see how we can work with South Africa. Let's see how we can work with these other communities in Africa to
Mhm.
work on our systems. Okay. So also going into community, so we have to be particular about communities as well. We need to know that um you are trying to curb a problem, and okay, before even that, family is the first unit, of any
Yes.
society.
Society.
And you want to curb a problem, and you're just going. Exactly. So you're trying to curb a problem, and you're leaving the community out. You're leaving the society
Mhm.
out. So why are you trying to curb the problem in the first place if they are not going to be involved? So we need
Mhm.
to go into the community. We need to educate these people that you know, this whole thing, poverty, child trafficking and all that, okay, I'm here for you. So I volunteer for Slum to School, right? Even though I have my own organization, I volunteer for Slum to School. And one thing Slum to School does is they go into the community. You have children there that their parents are traders. You have children that their parents are carpenters and the rest. But because they know the importance of community, they go into their community, talk with their parents. Oh, your child is going to be in school from so time to so time. Can you let them go? If and they say no, my child has gone and sell fish today. Some school can literally buy the whole fish just so that the child can go to school.
Sure.
You understand? So we have to involve community. We have to involve the government. Some people say no, we are not working with the government. We are not doing government work. Blah 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 blah. But you cannot do without working with the government because they are the people in authority. They are the leaders of the nation. So we have to work with them one way or the other. When we are talking of poverty, when we are talking of sex trafficking. I was looking at UNESCO and Humanium's statistics some days back, and Africa is in black. We are at the black level. Black level is low, is the critical level. We are in the black level.
Wow.
You know, and it's it's so we have lots of work to do. It's not just educators we are the ones that have to deal with the problems in education. It's all round. If someone from somewhere can say, oh, I'm going to deal with child hunger, fine, do it. If a child is not hungry, the child can concentrate in school. If you can deal with child abuse, a child who is probably being abused has somewhere to run to, and that child will be able to do well in school. We have counselors, we have all the necessary resources available. We have people, stakeholders that want to invest in organizations like us and say, oh, we want to train teachers, we want more quality teachers in our classroom. That's fine. We are all stakeholders in this thing. It's not just one person, it's not just the teachers. Just leave it to them. They know what you're doing. Parents will say, oh, leave them, take their child to school in the morning. The child will come back home and, what did you do in school today? Okay, fine, bye, good night. That's the end. It's the teacher's job to now take care of the child. But it's more than that. We need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need to form alliances. Yes.
Okay. So I was going to ask one question, but you touched on it a bit. So just going to rephrase. I was going to ask how we can leverage on the existing educational solutions and make it better. So let me add a little to that and ask, are there things that are found in the grassroots that we can refine to make better and probably leverage on to make the educational system better? Do you think so? How, if there are, how do we leverage on those?
Okay, so for now we have for me, I'll say we already have human resources.
Okay.
That's something we have. We are over how we are almost are we up to we should be up to a billion or more, yeah, a billion in Nigeria, in Africa, so we have the manpower, we have human resources. So for every person they have a mind, everyone has a mind to work with. As far as we have so many minds, then we can work on something together. That is one thing that every country has. They have the manpower, we have human resources, you know, we have people who have skills, we have people who have gifts, we have people who have the resources, like the financial means to help the sector, the system, right? So we have human um, resources. We also have tech.
Okay.
We are in that century that requires, the usage of tech. So we can leverage on the existence of tech to move forward. We have organizations that are coming up with brilliant ideas. We have one of our speakers as well, Mr. Kaide, who is the founder of Schoolinka. Schoolinka is amazing. That is using tech to aid the growth of teachers, which is really, really amazing. So we can leverage on that. We can leverage on that. We can create opportunities for these children, to have access to these available resources that we have. So for me, I'll say human resources and tech. Those are two things that we can leverage on that are
Okay.
existing already.
All right. All right. Great. 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 So I would like us to talk a little bit about statistics. Like you mentioned human resources, you've mentioned tech as things that we can leverage on as a country and as a community. However, do you think that we have enough statistics to properly probe or say examine the Nigerian educational system from the grassroots? Do you think we have enough statistics to work with? If you do, we can have some of those statistics. And if we don't, what can we do to ensure that these numbers are available to everybody who needs them?
Okay, so for me, I would say if you the statistics are, for me, I don't know about any other person, but they are really not enough, because there's something that there's one, should I say, the bad habit that we have here in Nigeria is we are not accountable. The word accountability, it's quite horrible, and we have to get to a state where for every issue that happens, we have the number, we have the numbers. We can see, okay, just recently the COVID is happening, and the numbers are dwindling. Yeah, you can hear, oh, they're not really anybody that comes to the hospital, they're just testing the person positive. The numbers are not accurate, this and that. We are not really accountable to our ourselves as individuals.
Mhm.
But I can say for some organizations, they have their statistics. For the Fresh Look Africa, we
Okay.
have our statistics for what we do,
Okay.
and so that is where collaboration and alliances would work when it comes to statistics. So you need something, you are calling another organization to ask for it. You can't really, there are some things you can't really just type up and say, oh, the number of this in a certain place. You might not
Okay.
really have that, but for organizations, if you need statistics, yes, you can. And but what our advice is that we need to take regular surveys. In some
Okay.
countries, if you need the number of out of school children, is right there. You have them there. If you Google the number of out of school children in Africa, you can get an estimate. But if you specify the number of out of school children in
Nigeria.
Nigeria, you might not really get a number to it, right? So it's just the same way. At some point I was checking the number of registered teachers in Nigeria, and I was seeing about 2 million registered, qualified and registered teachers. I'm like, 2 million, really?
Lot.
And a
That's a
school,
lot.
then a public school is struggling to have up to 20 teachers in their classroom. So
Mm.
how is that possible? So it didn't just align. It wasn't just, it was just looking it was a very funny estimate. But for me, we as organizations, we need to take regular surveys. And even, like I said, we are helping the government. So if we need to do that to help the government, when they need statistics, we can offer them statistics. That's fine. But for now, we don't have enough, but we need to take regular surveys to have enough numbers
Okay.
that we can work with.
Okay, so for those of us that joined us for this session, please, if you have questions, use the Q&A section of the platform to drop your questions. We would open up the floor soon to take questions for this particular session. So I have one question. You mentioned accountability while you were talking about statistics and all. How then can we hold ourselves accountable? Teachers holding themselves accountable, parents holding themselves accountable for the educational system to work. What do you think are the measures or the things that need to be put in place for us to be as accountable as possible?
Okay, so um for me as a person, when be at that, have that mindset that somebody from any part of the world can call me up to ask me for the numbers, or can call me to ask me um for the statistics, really. So if you are not okay, if someone calls me and asks, oh, how many teachers are currently registered to the program, I'm like, I'm coming, let me just check a bit. We have about, like, I really can't see anything. So you just look very funny. You're trying to deal with the problem, but you don't you are not taking record. You are not you people don't even know about what you are doing. So another thing is for people to know what you are doing really, so that people that want to be involved can be involved. Like I say, if you want to feel involved, you have to be involved. Some people will say, I just I wish I could do this. I really wish the education systems could be better. I really wish there could be this. I really wish that if you want to feel, if you want to see a reformation in the system, then you have to be involved. You have to do what you have to do. If you see someone is in need of something, if you see someone is in need of help, always try to offer help. So in trying to be accountable, you need to always be prepared, always have your numbers right, always take regular surveys, always have people you can be accountable to, and always, just be on your guard, so that we don't look like a we already on a black level. So let's not look so bad. Let it not look as bad as it already is from the aerial view, right? So yeah, that's
Right.
just it for me.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, Adora Igunma. So, Adora, one of the things I'm taking out of this session is the fact that we are all stakeholders. It's not only the teachers' responsibilities, or maybe the principals or owner of schools' responsibility. It is a communal thing. We need to put our hands together and ensure that the educational system gets better.